Hello, my lovely. You didn't get to where you are in your business by doing shit the way that everybody else does. And you know that what got you to where you are now is not going to get you to where you want to be. And if you are listening to this podcast, it's because you want to be the go to for what you do better than anyone else. Your brilliance is the niche. Being you, that bold, unfuckwithable presence that you've secretly been craving to set free, she is in there. And that means you will have to burn some old bridges down. And attracting your people will also repel those who are not for you. Fucking hooray. Becoming a force of nature business and brand means no more Miss People Pleaser, no more hiding your turbo brain, no more dimming down jack shit. And if you have ever been told to tone it down as a woman with ADHD, it's time to tone your shit all the way the fuck back up. That is how you create unstoppable momentum in your business and visibility that is something you've been avoiding, but that you truly want. This podcast is about stepping into your upgrade, watering down anything, never change the fucking world. You were not born to be forgettable. And as one of my all-time favorite quotes says, well-behaved women rarely make history, and nothing about you or me is well-behaved. At least not anymore. For the next 6 weeks, I am going to be sharing my brand spanking new Anti-Framework Business Scaling Playbook. That's a mouthful. On March 6, 2023, at 49 years old, and having been a business owner since I was 24, I was diagnosed with ADHD while running this business. You may have heard me say that before. I've been in the online arena since 2019, and I could not get my business where I wanted it to be. I couldn't understand what the fuck was going on. So I'm going to share the process that I went through with you, how I found my signature method, which is frankly something I thought was a joke when other business owners said they had one. That just did not speak to my brain. So from one force of nature to another, turn the volume up to an 11 and let's get feral. Welcome back to the ADHD Entrepreneu, the podcast for feral as fuck ADHD women in business who refuse to play by the motherfucking rules. My name is Carrie. I am your host. I am the head bitch in charge around here. I'm the chief weirdo of my brand, Carrie Out Loud. And if you are new here, welcome. I am so glad you found the podcast. If this episode impacts you, could you please do me a quick favor and subscribe, turn on the notifications so you can be notified every Wednesday to come back and listen in, and leave a 5-star review, because what that does is it helps other women like you find this podcast. Now, usually I do different topics on each episode. However, this is going to be a series of 6. I have never done anything like this before in my business, but it really felt important because of where I have finally gotten to. And I wanted to really pull the curtain back so you can take a look behind the scenes and see how I got from there to here. So it is time to talk to that feral funhouse of a brain of yours, because some of this is really going to be like, oh shit. It is going to be so freaking helpful. And what I want to do is I want to start off by talking about the coaching industry's best kept secret for late diagnosed ADHD women, or those who are undiagnosed but vibing. Okay, ready? Here it is. Me. I say that jokingly, and it's not because I don't have a solid, successful business. Why I say that is because it has taken me 2 years since my diagnosis, a little over 2 years now, to get to where I am now. And my business is growing exponentially. It is really exciting. Seriously, it has taken time to get here, but being here feels so fucking good And my brand is louder than it's ever been. It is fully of me. There are no more parts or pieces of other coaches or other people that I thought I had to be in order to be successful, or other ways of being that I thought I had to try on in order to have a business. And as I said earlier, I have a signature coaching method, which will be a course in and of itself very soon. I'm working on that on the back end. And if you would have told me that I would have had one, I would have laughed in your fucking face because I'm like, what do you mean a coaching signature method? What does that mean? Like, my brain, before I was diagnosed with ADHD, before I really sought treatment and management, my brain couldn't even fathom having something like that, because framework, all that kind of thing, it felt like a box. However, I created something that's not a box. It's literally the opposite of a box. That is why it is called the anti-framework. That is why it is called a playbook. It is full of different ways to do things that you see other people doing around you, but in a way that works for your brain. And nobody else has created anything like this. I have looked around. It doesn't exist. And so that makes me so fucking excited. So from the day of my diagnosis to now, it just happened, because I'm a really deep dive in your business with you, screen sharing to show you visuals, because sometimes our brains don't learn from just being told how to do something or by just given instructions. So I like to show the visual and share screens, or have my client share a screen and show me what the fuck is going on. I'm very high touch as a coach. And I also know that the main issue that late diagnosed ADHD women in business have, I know what they are, because I was there. And over the last 2 years, I have spent time while I have been figuring this all out, still working my business, still helping women who were late diagnosed with ADHD, seeing what kind of issues and problems they've contended with. And in a way, that has literally been the best market research I have ever had. And so I've gotten to the other side of this bridge. I help my clients get to the other side of that bridge, to where their business, they're burning down the shit that doesn't fucking work, and they're rebuilding those pieces in a way that really work for their brain. And you just have so much time back, because people say that our most valuable currency is money, but money is a renewable resource. Your time, it isn't. And so when you start to look at time and protecting your time as being something that is so valuable, and you tighten certain things up, the money is a byproduct. And I will get into that. But what I want for you is to have a business you love and that you're obsessed with, not a business you resent, and not a business that you are tied to at the hip for 24/7, 365, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. I don't want that for you. And I'm pretty sure you don't want that either. That is a big guess. So I pivoted to ADHD women immediately the moment I got my diagnosis, because I knew, okay, I couldn't be the only one this has happened to, running a business while getting an ADHD diagnosis. I also knew that we needed help in a very different way, not because we're different or we're weird or there's something wrong with us. It's literally because our brains are wired differently. And who better to help you with your business than somebody who has a brain like yours? Hello. Hi, nice to meet you. That's me, right? I saw what was missing for others, including myself. And as I worked with clients and tested and tried out different strategies and figured out how to create recurring revenue that doesn't bore the fucking shit out of your brain, to have extra dopamine boosts in your business while still creating revenue that's recurring and having fun with all of those ideas that you have in your brain constantly, how to marry those two together. And I am definitely going to be getting into that. So the way that I pressure tested this framework, the way that I chose to share this for the first time and get feedback was to do a challenge. And it's the magnetic as fuck challenge is what I did. I sold that. It was very low ticket. I offered a VIP day because what I really wanted out of that was to see, was everything that I had put together, was everything that I had created, did it make sense to other ADHD brains who were coaches, who were online service providers? Did it all make sense? And I got a feedback form after the fact that said, if you're a late diagnosed woman with ADHD and you run your own business and want some actual real life coaching that will work for you, Carrie is your person. She will ask you questions, get in the dirt with you, and help you grow. Not sure? Send her a DM and start chatting with her. You'll know what I'm talking about. That was on one of the feedback forms. And I'm nodding my head because she used this garden thing, right? Get in the dirt with you, dig in, help you grow. Like I said, I like to be all up in it and have my hands on. So when I read that feedback, I did a fucking happy dance like you would not believe because it landed exactly how I was hoping. It was speaking to other brains similar to mine in a way they understood. And that was fucking exciting. And then on the final day, I opened it up for a little bit of extra time. So the call itself was an hour, and then I had another 45 minutes with a Q&A. We're talking ADHD humans here, okay? We're talking 5 days of 1 hour a day of showing up, and then an hour call plus another 45 minutes on top of that. Okay, like that is not usual. And I'll tell you, of the women who were registered, they showed up almost every day. And the days they didn't show up, they went back and watched the recording so that they could be caught up. Okay, like I'm telling you, for ADHD humans, and depending on your type, some of us are inattentive type, some of us are combined type. I know there is some hyperactive type, but that tends to be more the male presentation. The fact that that happened was huge because they were engaged. They understood what I was saying. It was exactly what they were needing to hear. I'm watching the women as I'm talking, just nodding their heads constantly. And I literally was getting a lady boner because I knew I'd fucking hit the nail on the head. And it felt so good. I wanted to cry after every single call. At the end of the Q&A on the last day, when we went into the extra 45 minutes, because I had allowed some freedom there to ask some questions or do some coaching, just as a bonus surprise. I didn't say that was how it was going to be, but it ended up happening, and it was so amazing. I coached this one human who was pivoting to an elevated level of what she does, right? So going from a operations manager to more of a strategist, a back-end system strategist, launch strategist is really where she wanted to go. And the issue she was contending with was really like the imposter syndrome of, am I truly an expert? How am I going to do this? Like, how do I pivot? Like, how do I get that confidence? And my suggestion to her was, you have to prove it to yourself. And my suggestion for her to prove it to herself was to, she's already working her business. She has her business going, but she needs the proof to herself, not to anybody else, that what she can do as a strategist will work and will be mind blowing for the people who need her. Because one of the things we forget when we are an expert at something or we are a specialist in some areas, we have this belief that everybody else just fucking knows what we're talking about. Untrue, wrong. What seems basic to us is hardcore, intense, something that may take you 30 minutes may take somebody else days on end. And I will get into that as we get into this series. But I just wanted to remind you of that fact. The other thing was she said, well, I'm newer. I said, okay. So she says she's newer online. I think she'd been in like 18 months, maybe a little bit longer. And then I said, well, before you were in the online arena, did you do anything like this in corporate America or with other companies or whatever? And she said, yes, 10 years. And I said, so you've had this for 10 years. You've done, you've been doing this type of thing for 10 years. You've been strategizing for 10 years behind the scenes with other businesses and other companies. She's like, yeah. I said, you actually have 11, almost 12 years of experience. And it was like this moment I have had with several clients where that real life additional experience you had before you were a business owner, where we don't connect that those two things go together. So we had this full conversation. She was discussing with me about that pivot. It was a minor pivot. It wasn't pivoting completely away from what she was doing. It was more of an elevated level with that imposter syndrome. So I shared to do a handful of one-on-one strategy sessions, do like a 90-minute session and tell them, what you're going to help them strategize with, that, whatever is going to come with that. We talked a little bit about pricing. I said, you want to see yourself get more confident. Go out of 3 or 4 of those strategy sessions, seeing exactly how you were able to help that person and that their mind is blown. You will have so much more confidence and you'll be able to move forward. And she loved that idea. So that was the suggestion I gave. So, towards the end of our discussion, she said something to the effect of this. It's been refreshing, and I pulled this from the audio of the call. It's been so refreshing to be in somebody's space who's talking about how our brains are different, not just giving it lip service. So she's been told before, I'm neurodivergent. I make it neurodivergent friendly. The way she said it was, I make it neurodivergent friendly, like joking. She's like, but do you? Because your trainings are like an hour and a half long, and I can't listen to that like all the time. Meaning that isn't, if those are trainings all the time at that kind of length, that'll just zone her out. And then she said, it's just different to hear someone who just understood why when someone tells me to put a framework together, I'm like, fuck off. Or your content needs to be in this type of formula this many times a week. And I'm like, go fuck yourself. That's verbatim, those last 2 sentences. And I was cackling because precisely when somebody tells you they are neurodivergent friendly or they specialize in people with ADHD, or yeah, of course they can help you. Unless they have ADHD themselves or they're neurodivergent in some way, shape, or form, how the fuck can they understand it fully? They can't. They can't. So when I say I'm the best kept secret, I'm not really a secret, but this new thing I am putting out, it is right now currently kind of a secret. There's a few people who got to have the full experience live. I've gotten feedback there. It's been exactly what I was hoping it would be. And now I'm taking the parts that didn't fit or didn't work well, editing those out. I'm adding in 1 or 2 little things. I was able to make tweaks in real time. And that is going to become my signature program. That program also will live inside of the Neurospicy Sisterhood. That's my hybrid mastermind, where you'll be able to go in and take that course. Right now, there's a course inside called Unfuck Your Money, Honey. And it's a version of this course, but this is like the 2.0 version. So what my clients do is they go in there and talk about what they need me to help them with the most. And I say, okay, go and watch this section. And then I also have an on-demand library in there. And I'll say, okay, and go watch this and that. So there are specific things I can give them to watch that are ADHD friendly because they're bite size, or you can put it on 1.5 speed and be done with it a lot sooner. But they can take the whole entire program and come in and ask me questions in the one-on-one coach, in the hot seat coaching that I have every month, 3 times a month, or they can just take the course, or they can buy the course and just watch it on their own, because some people like to learn on their own and then come in for support. Other people like to have the support while they're learning. So this is going to give all of those options, right? So one of the things I talk about is, what are your unique propositions? What are the unique things about you that make you stand out in your industry? And I, for a long time, like in 2021, my very first business coach asked me what these were. And I said, I don't have any. Bullshit. I been a business owner on and off since I was 24. I created a six-figure business in 2000. In the year 2000, I had a six-figure business. Actually, 2001, my second year was six-figure, and it was mostly referrals, like 80% referrals. The first year, I just fucking humped it. The second year, I had more referral-based business and didn't have to work as hard. And I will get into referrals in this series as well. But I did not even acknowledge that I had that experience. It was like my brain just forgot. It's like, how do you forget at that point that I had like 22 years of experience? Well, our brains do that to us because, like I was explaining earlier, since we're newer or we may feel newer, new can be 2-3 years in the online arena. We're like, oh, I'm new. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're new to social media and how to market your business on social media, but you sure as fuck are not new to what you do. Please own that. So here are what my unique propositions are now that I stand in very confidently and what makes me one of one. And this is how you are also going to help yourself become one of one and not feel like you're fucking niching down. And the niche word, I'm definitely going to be addressing that. So you're going to want to listen to all 6 episodes because I'm going to go through different parts of this. And it's going to feel so good and relieving to your ADHD brain. It isn't even funny. So, what makes me one of one? My lived experiences, it matters. I have owned other businesses that were not a coaching business, other business types. I had a real estate practice that my highest year I sold 32 houses. 32 houses. In my first year I sold 20. National average was 2. Okay, so that'll give you an idea of what I was like. Now, I had no kids. I was 24 years old, 25 years old, and my business, I was obsessed with it. I loved it. I did love doing it. I love human beings, right? So before I was a coach and strategist, I owned other business types. I've never just owned a coaching business. And a lot of people out there who are coaches have only ever been in a coaching business. Now, they may have previous management experience in a corporate job. That also counts, right? So no shade, literally none. But what I'm saying is something that is special and unique to me is having run other businesses to 6 figures, having burned them both down because I freaking became burned out. I became burned out. I was burned out. And when I was burned out, I burned it down. That's why I don't have those 2 businesses anymore. But you know why? Because I didn't know I fucking had ADHD. And I do now. That's why this business is different over the last 2 years. And especially over the last 7 or 8 months, it has really, really shifted in the best ways possible. I help late diagnosed ADHD women, or those of you who are undiagnosed but vibing, because sometimes people don't want to seek a diagnosis, but you look around at your friends, they're similar to you. Some of them have ADHD or they're neurodivergent. When we know, we know. We may not become aware, but once we become aware and it becomes clear, no matter whether you seek a diagnosis or not, you know. So that is who I help. That is a very specific group of human beings. I can see your blind spots and help you fill them in a way that feel good to your brain and give you options because nothing is one size fits all. And we have novelty-based brains that need dopamine hits to keep running our business and keep it fun. I call them for funsies, right? You need some shit for funsies. That's what I help you build your strategy around. Because you don't want to be put in a box, but you do need strategy if you want to hit your long-term vision, right? It has to fit you to get you to your overall big as fuck vision. But it has to be malleable and it has to fit you. And like you, I am an idea factory, but I am not all up in your business like you are. so I can bring in fresh ideas for you to play with or put a fresh set of eyeballs on the thing you've been looking at for so long. It makes your eyes cross. I just had another client send me something. She's like, I have been looking at this for days, essentially was the feel of her message. She's like, can you look at this and tell me? And I was able to tell her which item looked more clear, how much easier a font was to read, those types of little things, because she was so deep in it. In the eye of the storm, I can be outside of that and look in because I'm not saturated by what you're doing. And seeing the blind spots you have, I can help connect the dots in the way your brain may not be connecting it. Two ADHD brains make a lot of fucking magic. I can speak that from experience. I have heard from almost every single client who's hired me actually, every client who's hired me one-on-one has said some iteration of the following. I didn't know that I needed another person with ADHD, that was the missing piece. That was one of the missing pieces in my business, was having somebody who just gets it, who just gets me, who gets my brain, who doesn't ask me, why are you like that? Or why do you think that way? Or tell you that you're wrong, those kind of things, right? And so sometimes I know for myself in my own business, there are dots that I have not been able to connect for the life of me, even if it was right in front of my fucking face. Okay. Sometimes, just like I was saying, or a few minutes ago, we need somebody on the outside looking in when we're feeling like we're stuck in that tornado and we can't get out. I can do that. It's part of what I can do, but in a way that works for you and has options. So you take what you like and you leave the rest. I am high direction. I am high strategy, but those things are curtailed to your brain so that your rebellious ass brain won't fucking rebel against it. Because the minute we are told, this is what you do and this is how you do it, it's like, go fuck yourself. Like I said earlier in the episode from this client who was in the challenge, go fuck yourself. This structure, this, that, no. I want to give you some options. You're going to take what feels the best to your brain and run with it, and you will have my support. That is what makes me one of what? Those are my unique propositions, right? That is based on lived experience. That is based on mentoring women from when I was 25 years old. When I was successful in my real estate business, I had other women in the office come to my young ass and ask me, how are you doing this? Or will you mentor me? And I was like, sure, because I just love other women in business. It's been that way since I was in my early 20s. Can you see a theme here? I'm not going anywhere. This is my purpose. Passion is great. Passion comes, passion goes, but a purpose tends to be something that sticks. That's the sticky point, right? That's the hyperfixation that we just are always, I know that we change directions in certain ways, but there are certain hyperfocuses that we have that we keep. And this was one of them. This is my main one. So for each of these episodes, I'm going to give you 3 things to kind of send you away with, little audits or reflections or things to simplify, etc. So for this episode, I would love for you to reflect on what lived experience you have that sets you apart from every other coach or service provider. Dig deep. I'm going to tell you, you're not going to have to dig that deep. All of a sudden, certain things are going to start highlighting themselves in your brain, and you're going to be like, how did I not put that together? It's okay, honey, that you didn't put it together. I know I didn't put a lot of shit together until I did. So look at that lived experience. Look at previous work experience. One of my clients had 17 years of behind the scenes experience in what she did and was not leaning into that in any way, shape, or form. Another client, same. She had, let's see, 6 years, it was either 6 or 8 years doing what she did. Tons of results in person, but because she was new online, you know the story. And I'll get deeper into that in one of the other episodes that I'm doing here. So the reflection here is, what is that lived experience that you have that sets you apart? What things have you been through in the arena, in like the things that you help other people with and the transformations you give them? What are lived experiences that you have that contribute to the way that you do what you do? The next thing I want you to audit is, where are you following made up rules, either in the industry or made up rules in your brain or made up rules in your life that you've been following since you were young because, oh, I don't know, you were kind of trained that way by society or family or school or whatever. What are those made up, arbitrary bullshit rules that you are following instead of trusting yourself? There comes a point in your business where the training wheels come off and you get to trust your gut instinct. It doesn't mean you don't want to have support along the way from a coach or a mentor or a friend or, a business sister. Of course, we want to have somebody who we can bounce things off of and all of that. But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, ultimately, it's that self-trust. And if you have trouble with self-trust, dig a little deeper and ask yourself, why? Is it because you were undiagnosed with ADHD and you were like basically made to not trust yourself at all for a lifetime? How do you start to allow yourself to trust you? And last but not least, this is for your business. Simplification is the name of the game here. You want to get your time back. You want to have a business that flows and does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Streamlining and simplification. Pick one thing this week that is the bane of your existence, that makes you want to poke your eyeball out with a hot stick, whether it's onboarding new clients or a system that just isn't talking to another system, or combining two different systems that aren't talking to one another, or an offer, anything. One thing in your business that you could streamline this week. And then go do it. Go do it. Streamline that shit. You're allowed. You're allowed. You never need a permission slip from me, but I will give you permission repeatedly because I lead from the front, but I also lead from the middle, because sometimes the middle of certain times in our business can be a little bit messy. And I'm not going to just show you the shiny, happy, fun parts. I lead from the front and the middle so you can see all the parts and pieces. And with that, I'm going to end today's episode. If you love this episode, please subscribe, give it a 5-star review, tell a friend, send me a carrier pigeon and let me know what you love. Drop in my DMs. What did you get out of this episode? I am a connection queen and a super connector. I love speaking to different people in different industries. Please feel free to reach out and chat about the podcast. I'm not saying that as lip service. I actually mean it. And until next week, I see you. I love you. And I am fucking rooting for you always. So stay feral. Okay? Okay. Bye-bye. Oh, hey, you're still here. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Be sure to check out the show notes for all the ways to follow me. And of course, my goal is to find and help as many women with ADHD get away from the 9-to-5 grind, because it's just not designed for our neurospicy brilliance, and there are other ways to do life. So by subscribing, sharing, and giving a 5-star review, it helps other women find this podcast as well. And if there's an episode you really love, please feel free to take a screenshot and share it on your social and tag me in it so that I can thank you personally. Until next time, you spicy brained unicorn. Bye.